If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum leadership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. I love Anchor because it's really easy to use, very accessible to record your podcast, and has excellent sound quality. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello, I am Jennifer Lynn Purcell, aka Opportunity Butterfly, bringing to you a living with an invisible learning challenge where we will discuss the challenges and triumphs of those with NLD. I don't know if you're a new listener or not, but I would like to share with you where I get most of my articles for this podcast. I've recently learned about a nonprofit that I would really like to help. It's the NVLD project. In addition to doing research on NVLD and working to get it back on the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, that is the DSM, they provide support groups for those with NVLD. You can find the NVLD project at www.nvld.org. All proceeds from this podcast and the ads will go towards the NVLD project. I will include the link for this in the description of the podcast. Please go to livingwithnld.com to learn more about my podcast. Also, I would like to announce that I now have created a YouTube channel for this podcast. I will post the link for this in the description for you. Hi, so in today's podcast, we will discuss what it's like trying to drive with NLD. In my not-so-sweet 16, NVLD and Driving by Megan, she shares the challenges she had with learning how to drive. Quote, I knew how to drive straight, but asked me to turn the wheel or park the car, and it quickly became a disaster. By the end of the session, the instructor asked if I needed to ride left and right on my hands. He wasn't joking either. It was evident my brain wasn't processing all the different tasks and instructions involved with driving. At the time, I didn't think having NVLD would impact driving or learning how to drive. I tried and persisted, but no matter how many lessons of both driver's ed and time driving with my parents, I became too frustrated and gave up. End quote. I can relate to Megan because driving was challenging for me to learn. I tried to learn how to drive when I was 17 and a half, but unfortunately my permit expired before I got enough practice to get my license before going off to college. I do remember my dad would let me drive his truck in empty parking lots, which helped me learn many things. I didn't get my license until I was 22 because I didn't need it when I was at college since public transportation was well structured up in Berkeley. Before I could get my license, I had to get my permit again because of it expiring when I was a minor. If you ever have an experience like this, please wait until you're 18 to get your license because then you don't have to do what I did. Once I learned how to drive, the challenges didn't disappear. I still had visual spatial issues from having NVLD. I can't estimate how far my car is away from other cars. Well, consequently, I have been in 2 accidents. Fortunately, no one got hurt or injured in either of them. I did learn that I have to be more cautious when driving. I need to do double take before I make any of my turns, whether that's right, left, or U-turns. It's also important to remember that anything can happen in a blink of an eye when you're driving. This article, Driving and Nonverbal Learning Disability, NLD, says that driving may be difficult for people with NLD because of the understanding of verbal instructions, having anxiety about being a student in the car, motor skills, visual spatial skills, and slow reflexes due to the slower processing speed. I can definitely relate to all of those things because since I've been trying to practice driving after my accidents, I've noticed that several things have changed. I have become more cautious, more aware of my surroundings, and my reflexes are becoming a little faster. I scan more and do more quadruple looks before turning instead of double looks, so I'm more aware of my surroundings. Also, I tend to get more discouraged if I'm doing bad with my parking practice, but I try to push through because I know driving makes me feel more independent, free, and an adult. Also, if I keep practicing, I'll get better, and it's the only way I'll get better. There is no manual to teach one how to drive with NLD, but my mom and I are going to try to create one. The manual will include tips on how to save for a new car, research on how to save for a car for one who has NLD, parking tips, driving improvement tips, and much more. I don't want to spoil it, though, by telling you all about it. So I'll leave it at just that. My mom is my faithful, patient, experienced, and knowledgeable instructor. Both of my parents have taught me, and so has my older brother, Jonathan. And I've also got 3 lessons from a professional driver's ed instructor. All of these different teachers help, but the ones that knew about my NLD have been more helpful because they know how to respond and be more helpful than the ones that don't know about NLD. I also have learned that with driving, there are many things you have to look out for, like other drivers, pedestrians, and unexpected things. You need to expect that other drivers may do unsafe moves like weaving in and out of lanes on freeways without signaling. Or they may signal, but they may move really fast when merging. They may also try to pass you in illegal ways if you're going really slow in the last lane on the freeway. I've had 2 cars pass me by using the shoulder lane when I was in the really fast lane on the freeway and shouldn't have been in that lane. After those experiences, I did not use that lane anymore. So let me step back here and just kind of tell you about how you feel when you're in a car, and maybe you have this experience if you have NLD. For me, I have a hard time parking the car in a parking space because I'm trying to feel my body in the car and I'm trying to park that car in that space. And I found that if I have the timing of the turn down well, that once I get my nose in the spot, then I have to start to adjust the car so that it's straight within the spot. Well, that's what me and my mom have been working on since we've been practicing after my car accidents. And we've really just been doing this for a couple months now because I've been carpooling with them to work because I work with them at their church. So it's really, fortunate that I work with them there. But I really have to practice driving because I know that is a skill that I don't want to lose. And I also know that once I move out in a couple of years, that I'm going to need to be able to drive well. So that's why I'm practicing driving with my mom. And I also know that you need to be safe in the car, and that's why I am more cautious after my accidents. I don't play music now. I don't even look at my phone anymore. I just have it on Do Not Disturb, which I did even before the accidents, and I don't have it in the dashboard holder. I actually have it in the door next, in the holder in the door next to me. And I don't even look at it until I'm out of the car. So I think that helps, and I probably will keep doing that until I feel like I'm safer and more confident on the road. Um, you know, I know when my confidence drops and I get discouraged, often I'm crying because my mind goes right to NLD, and I'm like, this is just so hard, and I want to be independent, and I want to be able to drive because it makes me feel more free and more independent, and it makes me feel like I can do something that anybody should be able to do. And it's just hard for me to do it because of NLD and because of the visual spatial issues of that I have because of NLD. And you know, if I didn't have NLD, I wouldn't have those things. But you know, I just wish it was easier, but I know it's going to only get easier if I keep practicing. So yeah, maybe you can relate to some of these things if you drive, or if you tried to learn how to drive with NLD and you realized it was too hard for you to learn. So whether it's trying to drive better, learn how to be cautious, or be more aware, I and others who have NLD still struggle in these areas today. As I wrap up today, there are a couple of things I'd like to share with you. Recently, I created a website and Facebook and Instagram for the podcast, and the website is called livingwithnld.com. And please sign up for the newsletter on the website. It's on the contact page. That way you can get the link for the episode sent to you. And also, please comment on the episodes on the podcast page. That way I can have some feedback from you. Or you can email me with your feedback if you feel like that's more personal and easier for you. The email you can use is livingwithnld@gmail.com. I will put that in the podcast description for you. And here is a story that you might find helpful for you. Row Runner has really good shoes that you can buy for running, hiking, or walking. They will make custom-made insoles for your shoes. Also, the shoes are expensive, but they can last a long time depending on how you use them, and they are very comfortable. And a good tip that I recently found out is you can find Row Runner shoes on Amazon for way less than you would get them at Roadrunner, the store. So you might want to try looking for them on Amazon if you know what shoe you would be getting. And you can't get the inserts online though, unfortunately, but you might be able to get something that is close to them. So just might want to look online if you want something cheaper, but that is still good quality. So thank you for listening today, and I hope you enjoyed learning something new about driving, and maybe you even learned some good tips that will help you improve. Thanks. Bye. As I wrap up, there are some things I would like to share with you. I do have a website for this podcast. It is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook and Instagram page for this podcast. It is called Living with NLD. I will include the links for those in the description. In conclusion, I would like to hear from my audience. If you know individuals with NLD that I could interview for this podcast, please email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com. What are you interested in learning about NLD? I know I'm not an expert, but I do know I have the living experience of having it. I would like you to practice journaling about your gifts and differences. Also see if there is a way that you can make that difference become easier for you to do than it originally was. Thank you for listening today, and please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to it. Thank you. Bye.